The autumn rain in Qingzhou is always lingering, soaking the bluestone pavement of the old city shining, and the air is filled with the humid with smellant ink fragrance. Lu Chen sat by the window of the Shiguj Eye, rubbing a collection of wire-bound poems of the Republic of China version with his fingertips, and the rain silk outside the window was woven diagonally, shrouding the scripture pavilion across the street in a haze. As a well-known ancient book restorer in Qingzhou, his ancient study is across the street from this century-old scripture pavilion, and there are often book collectors coming and going on weekdays, which is quiet and stable. The ringtone of the mobile phone broke this tranquility, and the word Zhang Ziyi was beating on the screen. Zhang Ziyi is the captain of the Municipal Criminal Investigation Detachment, and he is also Lu Chen's young, and the two have been inseparable since they were teenagers. And over the years, Lu Chen has helped the police solve many old cases with his keen perception of ancient books and old objects. Lu Chen, hurry up and come to the Sutra Pavilion. Something big has happened. Zhang Ziyi's voice was with an unconceivable urgency, and the sound of rain and chaotic footsteps was faintly heard in the background. The director of the Sutra Pavilion is dead. In the secret room, the scene is very strange. Lu Chen's heart sank. He grabbed his coat and umbrella and rushed out the door. The Sutra Pavilion is a cultural relics protection unit in Qingzhou, founded in the late Qing dynasty, which contains hundreds of precious ancient books and cultural relics. The director Wen Jingming is a well-known bibliophile in the industry. Humble, Lu Chen has been invited by him many times to repair the damaged ancient books in the museum, and the two have a good friendship. 10 minutes later, Lu Chen rushed to the door of the Sutra Pavilion. The yellow cordon has been pulled up, the lights of several police cars are flashing in the rain. Zhang Ziyi is standing at the door smoking. His brows are twisted into pimples, and the shoulders of the police uniform are stained with a lot of rain and mud. Seeing Lu Chen coming, he extinguished his cigarette butt and greeted him. Director Wen died in the ancient book restoration room on the second floor, and it was preliminarily judged that it was a homicide, and the scene was a secret room. Zhang Ziyi's voice was very low. We have cordoned off the scene. The forensic doctor is investigating inside. You coming with me? Be careful not to touch anything. Lu Chen nodded and followed Zhang Ziyi into the Sutra Pavilion. The hall on the first floor is empty and solemn, and the wooden bookshelves on both sides are full of ancient books, and the air is mixed with the unique musty smell of ancient books and the faint smell of disinfectant water. The two went up the steep wooden stairs to the second floor, and at the end of the stairs was the ancient book restoration room, and there were two police officers guarding the door. The restoration room is not big, about 20 square meters, surrounded by bookshelves, restoration tables and tool cabinets, and there is a wide pear blossom desk by the window. When Jingming's body leans on the chair in front of the desk, his eyes are closed, his face is pale, there is a slight strangulation mark on his neck. He is wearing the navy blue costume he often wears. His clothes are neat, and there are no traces of struggle. There were several yellow dry papers scattered on the ground in front of the desk, and on the table were a lamp, a set of ancient book restoration tools and an open song version of the Anoex, with flat pages and no messy marks. Forensic doctor, how is the situation? Zhang Ziyi walked up to the forensic doctor and asked in a low voice. The forensic doctor stood up, took off his gloves, and said in a stern tone, the deceased Wen Jingming, who died at the age of 58, died between 11 o'clock and 1 in the morning last night. The fatal wound was a strangulation mark on the neck, and the murder weapon should be a fine silk thread item. The wound was flat, and there were no obvious traces of struggle, so it is speculated that the murderer was taking advantage of the unpreparedness of the deceased. No blood was found at the scene, and there were no traces of a fight, and it was preliminarily judged that this was the scene of the first crime. Lu Chen didn't speak, his eyes slowly swept across the entire repair room. The doors and windows of the restoration room are old-fashioned. The door is a wooden latch door. The latch is intact, inserted from the inside. There is no trace of being pry-ed. The windows are carved wooden windows, tightly closed. The window bolts are firmly inserted. There are no fingerprints or climbing marks on the window edges and glass, and the surveillance camera in the corner is covered by a piece of black cloth, which is obviously deliberately done by the murderer. Secret room. Lu Chen walked to the door and carefully observed the wooden latch. The latch is intact. There is no trace of the forged latch. How did the murderer insert the latch from the inside after killing the man, and then leave the scene? We're also struggling with this. Zhang Jieqi sighed. There is only this door and one window in the restoration room, and the doors and windows are locked from the inside, and there are no other entrances and exits. We checked the gaps in the doors and windows, but found no abnormalities, and the murderer seemed to have disappeared out of thin air. Lu Chen's eyes fell on the desk, and the song version of the Analects caught his attention. This book is one of the treasures of the Sutra Pavilion, which is locked in a constant temperature and humidity display case on weekdays, and is rarely taken out, let alone placed on the desk at will. He squatted down and carefully examined the pages, and found that there were slight signs of wear on the edges of the pages, and the pages were stained with a little extremely light blue paint, which was not a pigment commonly used in the restoration of ancient books, but like acrylic paint used in modern paintings. How could this book be here? Lu Chen looked up at Zhang Jieqi. Director Wen usually takes strict care of the treasures of the town hall, and it is impossible to put them on the desk at will, and they're still open. Zhang Jieqi was stunned for a moment, and then asked someone to verify the situation. Soon the police officer came back to report, Ting Zhang, according to the administrator of the Sutra Pavilion. This song version of the Analects was still in the display case yesterday afternoon, and Director Wen specially went to check it before getting off work and confirmed that it was locked. Moreover, Director Wen rarely works overtime in the restoration room, and he was the only one left in the library last night, saying that he wanted to sort out a batch of newly collected ancient books. Lu Chen stood up and walked to the bookshelf. The bookshelves are filled with various ancient books and restoration materials, neatly arranged without any traces of turning over. He reached out and touched the dust on the bookshelf, which was evenly dusty, obviously not turned over on a large scale recently. As he scanned the tool cabinet, he found that a drawer on the top floor of the cabinet was not tightly closed, revealing a gap. Have you checked that drawer? Lu Chen pointed to the tool cabinet and asked. The forensic doctor nodded. It has been checked. There are some idle repair tools inside, and no abnormalities were found. Lu Chen still walked over and gently opened the drawer. There were indeed some discarded brushes, blades and paper in the drawer. He reached out and rummaged through it. His fingertips touched a hard object, and when he took it out, it was a small copper seal with the word Su engraved on it, and the edge of the seal was stained with a little blue paint, as on the page. This seal is not Curator Wen's. Lu Chen carefully rubbed the seal. Director Wen's seals are all made of jade, and the engraving style is completely different from this. The craftsmanship of this copper seal is very rough, as if it was custom-made, and the paint on it is consistent with the one on the page, which should be related to the murderer. Zhang Jieqi took the seal and handed it to the police officer beside him. Immediately check the source of this seal, as well as the sales records of this blue acrylic paint. Focusing on the local art supply stores and people in the ancient book collection circle in Qingzhou, the police officer left in response, and Lu Chen's eyes fell back on the corpse. When Jing Ming's hands were on his knees, and his fingers were slightly bent, as if he was holding something before he died. He motioned for the forensic doctor to carefully examine Wen Jingming's hands, and the forensic doctor carefully broke the deceased's fingers and found that he was holding half a piece of torn rice paper in his palm, on which there was only a vague word painting, and the rest was missing. Half a sheet of rice paper, a word painting. Lu Chen frowned. Curator Wen deliberately held this half piece of paper before he died. It should be to leave us clues. What does this word painting mean? Does it mean a certain painting, or is it related to the painting? Zhang Jieqi pondered. Director Wen has been obsessed with ancient books all his life and rarely involves the field of painting. But as far as I know, he has recently cooperated with a painter to publish a collection of illustrations of ancient books, and the painter is called Su Man, a well-known young painter in Qingzhou. Su Man. Lu Chen's eyes lit up. The seal is engraved with the word Su. Is it related to her? It's possible. Zhang Jieqi immediately took out his mobile phone. I asked someone to check Su Man's information, as well as her cooperation with Curator Wen. By the way, what about Director Wen's family and other staff? We need to ask each one. Director Wen's wife died early, and he has only one son, named Wen Zizhuan, who works in other places. And we have contacted him, and he is on his way back. The police officer around him reported. There are 3 administrators in the Sutra Pavilion. 2 are off today. And an administrator named Lin Zhao came to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and found that the door of the restoration room could not be opened, and he could not contact Director Wen, so he called the police. Lin Zhao is now in the hall on the 1st floor, and we haven't had time to ask. Take us to see her, Zhang Ziyi said. The 3 of them went downstairs to the hall. Lin Zhao was sitting on a chair in the corner, his face pale, his hands clasped tightly on the corners of his clothes, looking very nervous. She was about 30 years old, wearing beige overalls, her hair neatly combed, and her eyes were full of fear and unease. Miss Lin, don't be afraid, we just want to know something from you. Zhang Ziyi spoke softly and sat down opposite her. When you left the Sutra Pavilion last night, was Director Wen still there? Is there anything unusual about him? Lin Zhao took a deep breath, calmed down, and slowly spoke. When I got off work at 6 o'clock last night, Director Wen was still sorting out ancient books in the office, and he said that he would stay in the library to work overtime at night, so that I didn't have to wait for him, just lock the door. He looked normal at the time, but his face seemed to be a little different, and I asked him if he was uncomfortable, and he said it was okay, just a little tired. When you get off work, do you see other people entering and exiting the Sutra Pavilion? Or did you find any strange people? Lu Chen asked. Lin Zhao shook his head. No, it rained heavily yesterday. There were no people on the street, and there was no one else in the Sutra Pavilion except me and Director Wen. When I locked the door, I checked it carefully and confirmed that there was nothing abnormal before leaving. Miss Su Man came yesterday afternoon to talk to Director Wen about cooperation, and left around 4 o'clock. When Su Man came, did he do anything unusual? How did she talk to Director Wen? Zhang Ziyi asked. It didn't look abnormal. The 2 talked in the office for about an hour, and they were quite calm when they came out, Lin Zhao recalled. But I noticed that when Miss Su Man left, her face was not very good, and she seemed to be holding something in her hand in a hurry, as if she had quarreled with Curator Wen. Lu Chen and Zhang Ziyi looked at each other, and both saw doubts in each other's eyes. Is there a conflict between Su Man and Director Wen? If so, then she has a motive for committing the crime. How long have Director Wen and Su Man been cooperating? Are there any contradictions or differences between them? Lu Chen asked. The cooperation has been almost half a year, and we are preparing to publish an illustrated book of ancient books. Director Wen provides ancient books, and Su Man is responsible for drawing illustrations according to the content of ancient books, Lin Zhao said. I heard Director Wen mention that the 2 occasionally disagree over illustration style, but they are all disputes at work, and they are not very stiff. But in the past week, Miss Su Man has come very often, and sometimes she will stay in the restoration room with Director Wen for a long time, and I don't know what to talk about at this moment. The police officer in charge of investigating Su Man's information called and reported the situation to Zhang Ziyi. Team Zhang, I have found Su Man's information. Su Man, 30 years old and native of Qingzhou, graduated from the Academy of Fine Arts, is good at ancient book illustration, and set up his own studio 3 years ago. It is true that she and Wen Jingming cooperated to publish an illustration book, but the 2 have recently had a big disagreement over copyright issues. Su Man believes that Director Wen has infringed her copyright, and has negotiated with Wen Jingming many times, but no agreement has been reached, and the 2 quarreled in the Sutra Pavilion yesterday afternoon. We found that Su Man usually uses blue acrylic paint, which is consistent with the composition of the pigment found at the scene, and she has a private customized copper seal with the word Su engraved on it, which is the same style as the seal found at the scene. Zhang Ziyi hung up the phone, his face solemn. The clue points to Su Man. She has a motive for committing the crime, and she also has the tools to commit the crime, and she had a dispute with Director Wen before the incident, and the suspicion is very high. Immediately send someone to Su Man's studio and residence to investigate. Find her, and bring her back to the police station for questioning. The police officer set off in response, but Lu Chen frowned. Although Su Man is very suspicious, there are still a few doubts. First, the problem of the secret room. If Su Man is the murderer, how can she lock the doors and windows from the inside and create a secret room after killing someone? Second, if the word painting on the half-rice paper in the palm of Curator Wen's palm refers to Su Man, why do you only write one word and tear it up? Third, the surveillance camera is covered by black cloth, indicating that the murderer is very familiar with the environment of the Sutra Pavilion. And although Suman often comes, he may not know the location of the surveillance and the structure of the doors and windows. You have a point. Zhang Jieqi nodded. But Suman is the biggest suspect at the moment. We must find her first and verify her alibi. In addition, we must continue to investigate Director Wen's social circle to see if he has other enemies or people with conflicts of interest. Lu Chen didn't speak. His eyes swept over the bookshelves in the hall again. He suddenly thought that when Director Wen usually sorted out ancient books, he would put important documents and notes in the safe on the first floor. Perhaps there were disputes between him and Suman in the safe, or other useful clues. Where's Director Wen's safe? Lu Chen asked. Lin Xiao pointed to a wooden cabinet in the corner of the hall. It's there the cabinet with the combination lock is. Director Wen put all the important documents and lists of ancient books in it. And only he knew the password. Zhang Jieqi immediately asked someone to contact the technician and come to crack the safe password. Half an hour later, the technician arrived and successfully opened the safe. There were a lot of documents, a list of ancient books and a few bank cards in the safe, and Lu Chen rummaged through it carefully and found a cooperation agreement on the illustrated book of ancient books, in a pile of documents as well as a diary of Director Wen. The cooperation agreement clearly states that after the publication of the illustration book, the copyright is jointly owned by Wen Jingming and Su Man, and the proceeds are divided equally. But on the last page of the agreement, there was Su Man's annotation. The handwriting was scribbled, and it could be seen that the emotion was very excited, and the content of the annotation was, when Jingming breached the contract, modified the terms of the agreement without authorization, and embezzled my copyright, and I will never give up. Lu Chen opened the diary, which recorded the whole process of cooperation between Wen Jingming and Su Man. Judging from the content of the diary, the cooperation between the two was smooth at first. But 3 months ago, when Jingming suddenly revised the terms of the agreement, wanting to own all the copyrights of the illustration book to himself, Suman resolutely disagreed, and the two negotiated many times to no avail, and the contradiction became deeper and deeper. The diary also mentioned that when Jingming found that Su Man had privately sold the illustrations he had drawn to others and made a profit from them, and he refused to pay the advance payment agreed by Su Man before, so the two completely turned against each other. From this point of view, Su Man's motive for committing the crime is more sufficient, Zhang Jieqi said. She not only has a copyright dispute with Curator Wen, but also turns against her because of the advance payment, so she is likely to hold a grudge and kill the killer. Lu Chen shook his head. There is also a person in the diary named Gu Yanzhe, who is a collector of ancient books in Qingzhou and an old friend of Director Wen. The diary said that Gu Yanzhe wanted this song version of the Analects very much, and bought it from Director Wen many times, but was rejected by Director Wen. Moreover, Gu Yanzai and Su Man knew each other, and also helped Su Man mediate the conflict between her and Director Wen. Gu Yanzai, Zhang Jieqi frowned. I know that this person is very famous in the Qingzhou collection circle, has a rich family background, and has collected a lot of precious ancient books. He and Director Wen have been friends for many years. How could there be a conflict over a book? I don't know. But Gu Yanzhe has been mentioned many times in the diary, and his tone is very vigilant, saying that Gu Yanzhe has been in contact with Su Man frequently recently, and I don't know what the purpose is. Lu Chen closed his diary. I think Gu Yanzhe is also suspicious. He wants the song version of the Analects. Director Wen refuses to sell it. He is likely to be killed because of this, and he knows Su Man. Maybe the two join forces to commit the crime. Su Man is responsible for doing it. He is responsible for helping to cover up the crime and create a secret room. It's possible. Zhang Jieqi immediately arranged for the police, while continuing to trace Su Man's whereabouts. He went to check Gu Yanzhe to verify his alibi last night, as well as his relationship with Su Man. At this time, the rain had stopped, and the sunset shone through the windows of the Sutra Pavilion, casting mottled light and shadow on the ground. Lu Chen returned to the restoration room on the second floor and carefully surveyed the scene again. He squatted in front of his desk, looking at the scattered rice paper, and suddenly found a faint mark in the corner of one of the rice papers, like the mud marks of some kind of seal, but the traces were very faint, and they couldn't be found without looking closely. He took out his mobile phone, took a photo of the seal to enlarge it, and found that this mark was completely different from the copper seal of the word Su found on the spot. But like the seal of a jade seal, the seal style was simple, similar to the style of the seal used by curator Wen, but not exactly the same. Does director Wen have other seals? Lu Chen wondered. He remembered that there were usually a few commonly used seals in the drawer of director Wen's desk, so he walked to the desk and opened the drawer. There were several jade seals, inkstones, and brushes in the drawer, and he carefully examined each seal and found that the bottom of one of the seals was stained with a little faint ink mud, which perfectly matched the mark on the rice paper. This seal is engraved with the word Jingming, which is the famous seal of curator Wen, and is usually commonly used on the inscriptions of ancient books. But Lu Chen found that the weight of the seal was lighter than usual, and there was a slight crack at the bottom of the seal, as if it had been touched. He shook the seal gently, and there was a slight sound inside, as if something was hidden. Lu Chen carefully opened the seal and found that the inside of the seal was empty, and there was a small note hidden inside, which was written in Wan Xiu's handwriting. Gu Yanze wants to grab the Analux. He colluded with Su Man, and I am in danger. Seeing this note, Lu Chen's heart was shocked. It turned out that director Wen had already discovered the conspiracy of Gu Yanze and Su Man, and knew that he was in danger, so he hid the clues in the seal. From this point of view, Gu Yanze was the mastermind. He wanted to get the song version of the Analux, so he colluded with Su Man. Su Man agreed to cooperate with Gu Yanze because of the conflict with curator Wen, and the two joined forces to kill director Wen, and then forged the scene to push the suspicion to Su Man. At this moment, Zhang Jieqi called, in a hurried tone, Lu Chen, I found Su Man. She is in her studio, but she is already unconscious, with half a piece of torn rice paper and a bottle of sleeping pills beside her. In addition, we found that Gu Yanze did not have an alibi last night. He said that he was reading at home, but no one could prove it, and there was a copper seal of the word Su in his car that was the same as the scene, which was probably deliberately placed there to blame Su Man. I know, I'll go over right away. Lu Chen hung up the phone and immediately rushed to Su Man's studio with the seal and note. Su Man's studio is located in an office building in the city center, filled with easels, paints and paintings, and many illustrations based on ancient books hang on the walls. Su Man was lying on the ground, his face pale, and there was an empty sleeping pill bottle and half a piece of rice paper beside him, which just matched the half of curator Wen's palm. And together it was a complete painting word, and there was a line of small characters next to it. I'm sorry, director Wen, it was Gu Yanze who forced me. After the forensic examination, he said, Su Man took a large amount of sleeping pills, but his life was not in danger, and he had contacted the ambulance and was able to wake up soon. She had no trauma on her body, and she should have attempted suicide out of fear of crying. Lu Chen walked to the easel and looked at the unfinished illustration above. The content of the illustration was drawn according to the song version of the Analux, and there was a small Su seal in the corner of the painting, and the seal style was the same as that found on the spot. He noticed a brush on the easel with blue acrylic paint on it, the same composition as the paint on site. Where is Gu Yanze now? Lu Chen asked. We have sent people to his house and collection, and we haven't found him yet. Zhang Jieqi said, he probably knows that we suspect him and has run away. Lu Chen shook his head. He won't run. His goal is the song version of the Analux, and now that director Wen is dead, he will definitely find a way to take the book away. The Sutra Pavilion is now guarded by the police, and he can't get in, so he is likely to go to director Wen's house to find other precious ancient books. Zhang Jieqi immediately reacted. Quick, go to curator Wen's house. Director Wen's home is located in a courtyard house in the old town of Qingzhou. The yard is not large. It is very clean, and the house is full of ancient books and cultural relics. When Lu Chen and Zhang Jieqi arrived, the courtyard door was closed, and there was a slight turning sound from inside. The two looked at each other and quietly walked into the yard. The door of the living room was open. Gu Yanze was squatting on the ground, rummaging through the ancient books on the bookshelf, holding a song version of the Analux in his hand, which was the one in the Sutra Pavilion. Gu Yanze, don't move. Zhang Jieqi shouted, took out the walkie-talkie, and let the police officers outside come in. Gu Yanze was startled. The book in his hand fell to the ground. He stood up, a hint of panic on his face, but soon regained his composure, and a sneer curled up on the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect you to come so quickly. Did you kill Curator Wen? Was Suman forced by you? Zhang Zihe asked. Gu Yanzhe did not deny it, and slowly spoke. So what? I have wanted this song version of the Analects for a long time, and when Jingming's old thing refused to sell it to me, and he was still wary of me everywhere, I knew that Su Man had a conflict with him, so I found Su Man and promised her that as long as I helped me kill Wen Jingming, I would help her regain the copyright and give her a large sum of money. Su Man originally hated Wen Jingming, and soon agreed to cooperate with me. How is the secret room made? Lu Chen asked. How did you lock the doors and windows from the inside after killing someone? It's simple, Gu Yanzai said proudly. I have long known that there is a hidden vent in the restoration room of the Sutra Pavilion, just behind the bookshelves, which is very small and can only allow one person to climb through. I discussed with Su Man, and last night Su Man stayed in the Sutra Pavilion on the grounds of talking about cooperation. And while Wen Jingming was sorting out ancient books in the restoration room, he was unprepared, and then left through the vent, and I answered her outside. After leaving, we used the thin wire we had prepared in advance, reached in through the vent, flipped the latches, locked the doors and windows, and created the illusion of a secret room. The surveillance camera was also covered by Su Man in advance, and she often came to the Sutra Pavilion and knew the location of the surveillance. The copper seal of the word Su, as well as the pigment, were all deliberately placed on the scene by you to blame Su Man. Lu Chen asked. That's right. Gu Yanzhe nodded. The copper seal was customized by me imitating Su Man's seal, and I specially bought the paint, the same as Su Man's usual use. After the murder, I left the copper seal and paint at the scene to make the police suspect Su Man, so that I could take the opportunity to take away the song version of the Analects and get away with it. I thought Su Man would commit suicide out of fear of crime, but I didn't expect you to find out about me so quickly. You're so naive. Lu Chen took out the note hidden in the seal. Curator Wen has long discovered your conspiracy and hid the clues in the seal. You think you did it seamlessly, but in fact you have already left flaws. When Gu Yanzhe saw the note, his face instantly turned pale and he collapsed to the ground. The officer immediately stepped forward, subdued him, and put him in handcuffs. At this time, the ambulance arrived, and Su Man was carried into the ambulance and taken to the hospital. Later, after Su Man woke up, he truthfully confessed the crime of killing Wen Jingming with Gu Yanzhe, which was consistent with Gu Yanzhe's confession. Su Man was arrested in accordance with the law for intentional homicide, and Gu Yanzhe was arrested in accordance with the law for intentional homicide and robbery, and what awaits them will be severe punishment by the law. After Wen Zizhuan rushed back, he was devastated to learn of his father's death. Lu Chen handed over the song version of the Analects and director, Wen's diary to Wen Zizhuan. Wen Zizhuan looked at the diary. Tears slid silently. He said that he would keep the ancient books left by his father and fulfill his father's unfulfilled wish. The day after the case was solved, Lu Chen returned to Shigushe. The sun after the autumn rain shines through the window and falls on the ancient books on the bookshelf, glowing with a faint luster. He put the bronze seal of the word Su and the name medal of Curator Wen on the table, looking at the bustling crowd outside the window, and his heart was full of emotion. Zhang Zihe pushed the door and walked in, holding a cup of hot tea in his hand, and handed it to Lu Chen. The case is closed, thanks to you. Otherwise we don't know how many detours we will take. Gu Yanzai and Su Man both received the punishment they deserved, and Director Wen could rest in peace. Lu Chen took the hot tea, took a sip, and the warmth spread down his throat all over his body. In fact, Curator Wen has already left us clues. He just knows Gu Yanzhe too well and knows that he is in danger. So he hides the clues so hidden. People are separated by bellies, and sometimes the closest friends are the most dangerous. Zhang Zihe nodded. Yes, in the face of interest, many people will lose themselves. By the way, Wen Zizhuan said that he wanted to donate the song version of the Analects to the National Museum, so that more people could see this precious ancient book, which can be regarded as fulfilling Director Wen's wish. That's a good idea. Lu Chen smiled. Director Wen has been obsessed with ancient books all his life, and his greatest wish is to protect and inherit these precious cultural heritages. The two sat by the window, chatting about the details of the case, and the sun gradually set to the west, stretching their figures very long. It was very quiet in Shigushe. Only the sound of turning pages and the faint fragrance of tea, as if everything had returned to the calm before the case. But Lu Chen knew that there were still many sins hidden in the darkness in this world. As long as their work loosened the truth to pursue, he would always stick to it and guard this peace and justice in his own way. A few days later, Su Men and Gu Yan's A's case went to trial, and the two confessed to their crimes and were sentenced to death and life imprisonment in accordance with the law. In accordance with his father's last wishes, Wen Yizhuan donated the song version of the Analects to the National Museum, which held a small commemorative ceremony for Wen Jingming in recognition of his contribution to the protection of ancient books. Lu Chen was invited to participate in the commemorative ceremony, and after the ceremony, he walked alone to the ancient book exhibition area of the museum and looked at the song version of the Analects displayed in the display case. The pages were flat, the handwriting was clear, and the light was simple. He seemed to see Wen Jingming lying on the table to restore ancient books, and saw his love and perseverance for ancient books. When leaving the museum, it was getting late, and the street lights lit up, illuminating the way home. Lu Chen took out his mobile phone and saw the message sent by Zhang Ziyi. A male corpse was found in the west of the city, and there are strange fragments of ancient books at the scene. Come quickly. Lu Chen put away his phone and quickened his pace. He knew that a new case had begun and a new truth was waiting for him to pursue. No matter how difficult and dark the road ahead is, he will move forward bravely with his persistence in the truth, until all sins are dispelled and the world is clear. Back in Shigushe, Lu Chen picked up his coat, turned around and walked into the night. The lights of Shigushe were on, illuminating the blue stone pavement at the door, and also illuminating his steps in pursuit of the truth. He knew that as long as the justice in his heart was not extinguished, there would be no unsolvable cases or hidden truths. The crime scene in the west of the city is located in an abandoned old building, and the deceased is a man in his 40s, whose identity is unknown, lying in the corridor on the second floor of the old building, with a fragment of an ancient book beside him, and some strange words written on the fragment, which no one knows. Zhang Ziyi was already waiting at the scene, and when he saw Lu Chen coming, he immediately greeted him. Lu Chen, look at this fragment. Zhang Ziyi handed the fragment to Lu Chen. The forensic doctor preliminarily judged that the time of death of the deceased was about 2 o'clock in the morning last night. The fatal injury was a heavy blow to the head. There were no traces of a fight at the scene, and no murder weapon was found. And this fragment was the only clue. Lu Chen took the fragment and observed it carefully. The fragments are yellowed and rough, like fragments of ancient bamboo slips, and the text on them is not Chinese characters, nor any known ancient characters with strange lines, like some kind of symbol. There are signs of wear on the edges of the fragments, and there is a faint trace of blood, which should be the blood of the deceased. This is not an ordinary fragment of an ancient book. It is more like some kind of sacrificial rune. Lu Chen frowned. I have never seen this kind of symbol. It is neither oracle bone inscription nor golden inscription. It may be some kind of lost ancient text. There is only this fragment with the deceased, indicating that this fragment is related to his death, perhaps left by the murderer, or perhaps carried by the deceased during his lifetime. Lost ancient texts. Zhang Ziyi frowned. Then how should we investigate? Are there any experts in Qingzhou who study this ancient script? There is one person who may recognize this kind of writing. Lu Chen said, Mr. Qin, the director of the Ancient Books Department of the Municipal Library, has studied ancient characters and ancient books all his life, and perhaps he can recognize the symbols on them. Zhang Ziyi immediately arranged for someone to contact Mr. Qin and conduct further investigation of the scene. Lu Chen held the fragments and carefully observed the environment of the old building. The old building has been abandoned for many years. The corridors are covered with dust and cobwebs. There is a lot of graffiti on the walls, and all kinds of garbage are scattered on the ground. The deceased was lying in the middle of the corridor, curled up with his hands on his chest as if protecting something. Lu Chen squatted down and carefully examined the hands of the deceased, and found that the deceased was holding a small jade pendant in the palm of his hand, with a strange pattern engraved on it, which was somewhat similar to the symbol on the fragment. This pendant may be related to the symbol on the fragment. Lu Chen said, "It seems that this case is not simple. It may be related to some kind of ancient sacrificial ritual or secret organization." At this moment, Mr. Khan arrived. He took the fragment in Lu Chen's hand, put on reading glasses, and observed carefully, his brows furrowing tighter and tighter. After reading for a long time, he slowly spoke. "This is a lost ancient rune called Xuan An Io Fu, which is a sacrificial rune of a mysterious tribe in ancient times, representing sacrifice and rebirth. This tribe has long since disappeared, leaving only some sporadic rune records, but I didn't expect to see this kind of complete rune fragments. Xuan Bird Fu. Mysterious tribe." Zhang Zhi wondered, what does this tribe have to do with the death of the dead? Why are there such rune fragments around the deceased? "I don't know." Mr. Khan shook his head. "This tribe is very mysterious. There are very few records about them in history. Only know that they are good at sacrifice and divination, and their sacrificial rituals are very strange, and they often use living people as sacrifices. The runes on this fragment seem to be used in sacrificial ceremonies. Perhaps the death of the deceased is related to some kind of sacrificial ritual." Lu Chen took the jade pendant and handed it to Mr. Qin. "Mr. Qin, do you think the pattern on this pendant is the same as the rune on the fragment?" Old Mr. Qin took the pendant, looked at it carefully, and nodded. "That's right. This pattern is a simplified version of the Xuan Nio Fu, indicating that the deceased is likely to be related to this mysterious tribe, or someone who studies this tribe." The clues became more and more confusing. The identity of the deceased was unknown, related to the mysterious tribe, and there was only a rune fragment and a jade pendant at the scene, and there were no other clues. Lu Chen knew that this case was more complex than the previous ancient book's secret room case, and there might be a huge secret hidden behind it. He stood up, his eyes swept around the corridor, and suddenly noticed a small mark in the corner, as if it had been left by some kind of tool. He walked over and observed carefully, and found that this mark was somewhat similar to the pattern on the jade pendant, like a small mysterious bird talisman. This mark should have been left by the murderer. Lu Chen said, "The murderer is probably also a member of this mysterious tribe, or like the deceased, he is studying the secrets of this tribe." Zhang Zhi immediately asked people to sample and analyze this mark, and at the same time expand the scope of the investigation to investigate whether there were any recent research activities related to the Xuan Nio Fu or the mysterious tribe, and whether there were any missing people reported. Lu Chen took the fragments and jade pendants and returned to Shigu She. He rummaged through all the ancient books about the ancient tribes and ancient runes, carefully consulting them, hoping to find more information about the mysterious bird Fu and the mysterious tribes. It wasn't until late at night that he found a little record of the Xuan bird tribe in a dilapidated fragment of the Classic of Mountains and Seas, which said that the Xuan bird tribe lived on the seashore of the east with the black bird as a totem, good at sacrifice and divination, and there was a mysterious Xuan Ao Jing in the tribe, which recorded the secrets and sacrificial rituals of the tribe, and later the tribe disappeared because of a disaster, and the Xuan Ao Jing was missing. The Book of the Mysterious Bird. Lu Chen frowned. Could it be that the death of the deceased is related to the Xuan Nio Sutra? Did the murderer kill the deceased in order to find the Xuan Nio Sutra? At this moment, the mobile phone rang, and it was Zhang Zhi who called. "Lu Chen, the identity of the deceased has been found." The deceased's name was Ma Bowen, an ancient book collector specializing in ancient tribes and ancient runes, who came to Qingzhou from other places 3 months ago and had been looking for the whereabouts of the Xuan Nio Jing. In addition, we found out that there is also a person who is also looking for the Xuan Nio Jing recently. This person is Zhao Yaqi, an archaeologist, and Ma Bowen knows each other, and the two have cooperated to study the Xuan Nio tribe together. Lu Chen's eyes lit up. "Zhao Yaqi, where is she now?" "We have found out where she lives, and now we are rushing over. So come over too," Zhang Zhi said. Lu Chen immediately picked up his coat and rushed to Xiao Yaqi's residence. Xiao Yaqi's residence is located in a high-end community, and the house is full of various archaeological materials and ancient books, and there are many rubbings of ancient runes hanging on the walls. Seeing Lu Chen and Zhang Zhi, Xiao Yaqi looked surprised, with a hint of panic in her eyes. "Are you looking for me?" Xiao Yaqi asked, her tone a little unnatural. Ma Bowen is dead, do you know? Zhang Ziyi asked, his eyes fixed on Xiao Yaqi. Xiao Yaqi's body stiffened slightly, and then she regained her composure. I know, the police called me just now. I was surprised. How could he be killed suddenly? You studied the Xuan-Nio tribe and the Xuan-Nio Sutra with Ma Bowen, right? Lu Chen asked. Have you found the whereabouts of the Xuan-Nio Jing? Is Ma Bowen's death related to the Xuan-Nio Jing? Xiao Yaqi was silent for a long time before slowly speaking. That's right. I have been studying the Xuan-Nio tribe with Ma Bowen for many years, and I have been looking for the whereabouts of the Xuan-Nio Jing. 3 months ago, we finally had a clue that the Xuan-Nio Jing might be hidden in an ancient tomb in Qingshu. So we came to Qingshu together to find the location of the ancient tomb. But we had a disagreement during the research process. Ma Bowen wanted to take the Xuan-Nio Jing for himself. I disagreed, and the two quarreled and never contacted each other again. Where is the ancient tomb? Zhang Ziyi asked. I don't know. Xiao Yaqi shook her head. We only know that the ancient tomb is in the old city of Qingshu, but the specific location has not yet been determined. Ma Bowen had a clue about the location of the tomb, but he refused to tell me, and I didn't know where he hid the clues. Lu Chen's eyes swept through the archaeological materials in the room and found a map on the table, which marked some locations in the old town of Qingshu, as well as some strange symbols, which were somewhat similar to the Xuan-Nio talisman on the fragment. What's going on with this map? What is the symbol above? Lu Chen asked. Xiao Yaqi's eyes flickered and said, This is a map we drew based on ancient records, and the symbol on it is the Azimius symbol of the Xuan-Nio tribe, which is used to find the location of the ancient tomb. But we haven't deciphered these symbols yet, and we don't know where the ancient tomb is. Lu Chen picked up the map and observed it carefully. Although the symbols on the map are similar to the Xuan bird Fu, there are some differences, as if they have been modified. He noticed that there was a small mark in the corner of the map, which was exactly the same as the mark in the corner of the crime scene, and it was a simplified version of the Xuan-Nio Fu. Did you draw this mark? Lu Chen asked, pointing to the mark in the corner of the map. Xiao Yaqi's face instantly turned pale, and she could no longer maintain her composure. She slumped in her chair, tears sliding down silently. It's me. I killed Ma Bowen. Xiao Yaqi explained that she and Ma Bowen had studied the Xuan-Nio tribe for many years, and finally found the clues to the Xuan-Nio Jing. But Ma Bowen wanted to take the Xuan-Nio Jing as his own and sell it to make money. Xiao Yaqi resolutely disagreed. She wanted to donate the Xuan-Nio Jing to the country, so that more people could study the culture of the Xuan-Nio tribe. The two had a huge disagreement and quarreled many times to no avail. Last night, Xiao Yaqi found Ma Bowen and wanted to negotiate with him again. But Ma Bowen not only disagreed, but also threatened her with a murder weapon, saying that if she dared to stop her, he would kill her. Xiao Yaqi impulsively picked up the stone beside him and smashed it at Ma Bowen's head, and Ma Bowen died on the spot. Xiao Yaqi was afraid of being discovered, so she moved Ma Bowen's body to an abandoned old building, leaving behind fragments of the mysterious bird talisman and jade pendants, falsifying the scene and trying to push the suspicion onto the mysterious tribe. I thought it was done seamlessly, but I didn't expect to be found by you. Xiao Yaqi's voice was full of regret. I just want to protect the Xuan-Nio Jing. I don't want it to fall into the hands of bad people. But I didn't expect to kill someone. I regret it. Zhang Ziyi immediately arranged for the police to arrest Xiao Yaqi, and at the same time searched for the ancient containing the Xuan-Nio Jing, according to the clues provided by Xiao Yaqi. A few days later, the police found the location of the ancient tomb in the basement of an abandoned factory in the old city of Qingshu, and after opening the ancient tomb, there was indeed a copy of the Xuan-Nio Jing, as well as some ancient sacrificial supplies and cultural relics. The Xuan-Nio Jing was donated to the National Museum, and after expert interpretation, it recorded the history, culture and sacrificial rituals of the Xuan-Nio tribe, providing important information for the study of ancient tribes. Xiao Yaqi was arrested in accordance with the law for intentional homicide, and she confessed to her crime and was eventually sentenced to life imprisonment. After the case was solved, Lu Chen returned to Shigushe again. The sun shines through the window and falls on the ancient books on the shelves, and everything returns to calm. He knows that behind every case, there is a hidden greed and desire of human nature, and what he can do is to stick to the truth, protect justice, let every victim rest in peace, and let every murderer receive the punishment he deserves. As night fell, Lu Chen closed the door of Shikushai and walked home. The street lights on the street lit up the road ahead, and he looked up at the sky, starry and moonlit. He knew that there would be more cases in the future, and more truth was waiting for him to pursue, but he would not back down, and would always move forward bravely with his dedication to the truth, guarding the peace and tranquility that belonged to Kingju in his own way.